So I recently renewed my internet. Every 2 years I have to get a new contract, new price, whatever. But one thing I did realize out of it is how much these internet service providers and cable companies are really trying to break through the smart box market. So for me out here in Canada, Rogers gave me one of their Z1 streaming boxes as a promotion for loyal customers who want to stay. Because when I do have to renew, I pretend like I'm going to switch to another internet service provider, try to get some credits or something like that. But this year they're like, yeah, take one of these. But in fact, most cable companies and internet service providers are starting to really push these devices. And after trying it for a few weeks, I really had to ask myself the question, why the fuck does this exist? So I'm going to start by showing you what the box does do before we go over what it doesn't do. The device itself is as simple as it gets. It has no USB, just an HDMI, a power plug-in, and a direct Ethernet port. They definitely didn't go for any design awards with this one. But I will say they actually forked out for a pretty decent remote. This thing has some heft to it and actually feels well made. So once you're set up on the device, you get a number of pre-installed paid and free streaming apps that you can use your current subscriptions on. They try to give you a number of different recommendations that when you click on it, it will tell you what service the show or movie is available on. But it really does just look like a slightly changed ripoff of the already existing Google TV OS. Now, I don't know if all these cable company streaming boxes have the exact same feature, but I aim to bet they are very similar. Unlike a traditional app store, it's very limited in the apps it provides. In fact, it's only a net few that they have allowed on this, all content related. So I think the thing that I found the most interesting about this box is it has none of the IPTV provider apps on it. And I'm talking about the legal ones. We're not even getting into the third-party ones. And I think the reasoning for this is pretty obvious. They don't want you to use a competitor's service on your device, which is kind of anti-competitive and also very stupid because it makes the device fucking useless. I guess the biggest feature they have on this one is you can rent movies and it goes directly on my account. So if I want to pay $25 to watch Furiosa Mad Max Saga, I can do that. I mean, it's great. They finally discovered digital rentals. And listen, I wasn't the only person that figured out these boxes are dumb. In fact, you can look through a number of threads on people asking the same question. What is the point of this device? Because look, I want to show you something really cool here. I can click this and oh yeah, my TV has a Fire TV OS built into it. And here is a $50 Android TV streaming box that you can fully customize. Yet on this device, there is no Safari, there is no Amazon Silk, there's no web browser, you can't install third-party apps. And the worst part is they're trying to make it seem like a great deal. Like I said at the start of the video, this isn't only in Canada with Rogers. Virgin Mobile in the UK has a version of this, Xfinity in the States, Spectrum in the States, all have some sort of TV streaming box. And like I said, they're all slightly different, but basically have the same idea to them. For example, the Rogers box I found really hilarious because they sell it to you as an experience. They say the Rogers Ignite streaming box, bring everything all together. And then they talk about, free shows, free movies, through Tubi TV and FilmRise, which are apps you can already get anywhere, including on your iPhone, your Android phone, any browser. So they aren't adding any new value there. Now the Xfinity box probably seemed the most useful because they actually have their separate IPTV app. So they also use it as a bit of a DVR. So I guess that has some added bonus, but I'm pretty sure you can already do all that through the app on a different device. So again, now you're probably asking yourself, who would buy this? And I think for the most part, these are given away as added bonuses when you upgrade your plan. But if you do want to buy one, this is where things get a little sticky. And it's something cable companies have done for a long time, and that is rent shit you don't need to you. I remember about 8 years ago, I was getting new internet through Shaw at the time, and they were going to charge me a monthly fee to rent their router. Now, I argued with them, and they ended up just letting me have it and basically use it until I'm done with their service. But that's the same thing they're trying to do with these boxes. For the most part, all of these boxes are going to add on a $5 monthly fee, unless you want to buy it outright, which for the Rogers Ignite box, I think it's around that $60 range, which is a pretty big ripoff when you look at some of the other streaming devices you can get for $60, and you get full access to it instead of a locked device. And I'm starting to wonder how many people got one of these boxes, maybe didn't understand that it was a $5 charge, and now are paying an extra $5 a month on their bill, and they might not even recognize. So first thing I suggest is go check your bill and make sure you're not paying for one of these devices. And if you are, send it back to them and just order yourself a $20 Fire Stick. Now there's also the other benefit of this device to the provider, and that is both advertisement, keeping you in their ecosystem. I guess this is 3 benefits, but also rentals. Because now if I rent a show or movie directly on this device, that portion of the fee, that sale is going to go to them. Of course, some of that actually goes to the owner of the piece of content, but they do get an extra little bit off you. So it's another way to try to stick their nose in the cookie jar a little bit. But that's it. I just wanted to talk about these streaming boxes because I think they're an absolute ripoff. Don't buy them. See you guys in the next one.